Hi guys, it is Sunday. Tomorrow marks 3 weeks post-op for bilateral carpal tunnel surgery. Wednesday I went and they were going to take the stitches out, but I had already taken them out. It was honestly anticlimactic. He just looked at them and was like, "Oh, out?" I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Okay." And he looked at the incision and he was like, "Okay, looks good." He said, "You want to be careful because the direct sunlight can cause discoloration." Like, okay, like I'm not really worried about my scar, but it's very Korean if you missed that. I live in Korea and they're very worried about scarring. So I didn't get a lot of directions for like following up. Like they just said come back if you have pain, but like I'll continue to, I was like, should I do any exercises? He's like, oh yeah, you can do this. I was like, and I'd watched some other videos on YouTube with suggestions and they're talking about like working on like flexion and then like massaging the incision, the scar, when it's healed to help prevent scar tissue. And I was talking to them about how I already noticed that this hand is still more swollen. This is my non-dominant hand, the one that was more severe, and I can feel like a little bit of a lump. Guess it's actually getting better. So also like my scar has been so itchy, so I've just been keeping like hand cream by my bed, and then at night, like before I go to bed, like if we're watching a show or something, just like massaging it. And I honestly love to rub like both hands together and like kind of use the heel of one hand. And what I had read or listened to on YouTube was like, it kind of feels good. Like if it's hurting you, it's too soon. So if that's happening to you, then discontinue. But it kind of feels like just like a sore muscle where like feels productive. So I guess the thing that I feel like I was really lacking from my follow-up was just like understanding what are the things I should be doing to improve healing and encourage healing, and what are the things I should not do until a certain point, because it could delay healing. Because I was like, oh, no restrictions, and they're like, oh no, and it's like, what about lifting? And they're like, oh yeah, no, don't do that, like not until like February, which is like I guess almost a month and a half post-op. So I'm just gonna try and play it by ear. One other thing that happened in the last couple of days that was funny to me was that one of the videos I had watched, the ones I recommended, like my first couple videos that I said was the only thing I could really find, like as far as like a post-op bilateral carpal tunnel vlog sort of video. And she had said, oh, well, it's kind of like you'll know if you do too much. And largely it's true, but I really experienced it. So I've actually been able to pick up my kids a little bit. Like, I mean, I get home and like my little baby runs at me. He's 1.5 years, so like I'm gonna pick him up. So I just like make sure he's kind of like close to my body and then lift, like really like, kind of like lock my wrist and lift and then hold them like with my arm and my forearm and not hands. But I was putting him in bed the other day, and his bed is kind of like raised, and I had to like lift, and when I got like up to push him, like to like lift him over the edge of the bed, it was not good. Just like sharp pains. And I was like, oh, this is the first time I felt that so far. Previously, I think all of my discomfort had fallen into the category of just like waking that up, and like when I flex, like I can feel like the tightness here and it's kind of pulling, which like does not feel good, but I think it's like range of motion that you have to get back, so it's encouraging like good movement. But yeah, that was a very clear like, no, you're not ready for that. Or like the same idea, like if I'm sitting on the floor and I go to like just push up with my fingers, like my palm on the floor, not ready for that. So Another thing that happened was I went to go get our car inspected, and they asked me for my phone number. And so I went to write it down, and holding a pencil, it just, it's like such a small thing, but like holding it tight enough to be able to write was very uncomfortable. Another one is chopsticks. Again, we live in Asia. I just don't have that maneuverability. You know, the funny thing is though, I had been like really thinking about like hair brushing when I was doing my research pre-op. And actually I've learned like if I just hold my hairbrush differently, like if I hold it just like normally, but I'll actually kind of hold it like this, so there's like some leverage, so I don't have to, that's a bad example, but instead of having to like grasp, kind of wedging it between my fingers, and then I can brush my hair fine. Again, like this is another one of those things that like is still kind of difficult. Just like one finger pushing, or like plugging in a phone one-handed, or like unplugging something one-handed. Just those really random movements where you are using the fine motor grasp with strength. So like as far as like I've been able to put my necklaces on no problem. Like it doesn't require like strength, it requires the dexterity. So the dexterity is there, so like feeding myself like lightweight food, no problem. But if I'm like today I was using a fork to like eat something, and then it wouldn't like get on the fork easily, so if I have to push hard, that hurts. Or I had like some noodles, and so like, you know, usually I'd put the fork in and then twist it, and then that motion where I'm twisting it, my wrist didn't like that. So tomorrow is my first day back to work. So again, that's 3 weeks post-op. So I know that the first couple of days are going to be figuring out what work-related things are those weird things that I can't do yet. Again, I'm driving a car and it's been fine. I've actually driven my scooter and it's fine. Stuff like carrying a bag of groceries. If I position my hand right, I feel like I can do it in a way that is protecting my wrist. It's not something I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to avoid it, but like worst case, if I needed to lift something, if I kind of like lock out my hand and then pull it up like this, which obviously this is not how you hold a bag of groceries, but instead of holding it like this, where it's your grip strength holding it, if I kind of lock out like this, I've been able to. So I don't know, depending on when you're having surgery, what kind of help you have, what kind of job you have, those are things that maybe you just can avoid completely. But like today at church, like I had to hold my baby, and so I think that's been like the hardest thing in the last few days, is as the schedule becomes like normal again and reintegrating into normal life, like my body is just really tired. One, because I know it's still healing, and two, I'm just compensating in like ways that I'm not even aware of. So my biceps, my forearms, I think even my back, there are just ways that I'm holding myself or holding items where instead of using any grip strength, I'm using my upper body. So I think it'll just come with time. I'm going to continue to make sure, like doing like, you know, they just say this, and then I've seen like this, like, what do they say? Like claw tabletop, stuff like that, to like make sure it's extending through the channel, the carpal tunnel. Even like putting thumb on the incision and open and closing, massaging around the incision. Again, I think that that's been helping. Oh, and the last thing I tried today, which I think really helped. my incision has been so itchy, and I was thinking in Korea, those hydrocolloid, oh, I'm butchering that 100%. Patches, so like basically like pimple patches. You can buy them in like patch form here. It's like a medi patch. Guys, honestly, it's in Korean, so what do I even know? So it's like this, so I cut it. So this will probably be like 2 more wraps. So I cut it like this and then put it over my incision. And I felt so much more comfortable. So the doctor had said like there's no reason for dressing anymore. And so honestly, after I left the doctor Wednesday up until basically yesterday, so Wednesday to Saturday, I didn't wear any dressing on it. And I think I still want like an ace wrap. Like I have found these kind of wraps to be the most comfortable, just like the soft-sided, not, you know, if I thought I was going to show you this, I could have gotten it out. Not these kind, because it's like too tight, and again, it's like making me itchy. So today I did like a patch of this over the incision and then lightly wrapped it, and my hands felt a lot more comfortable. And then when I took it off tonight, it felt a lot more moistened, and I was reading that it can help like lower the like if your incision is raised at all or irritated. So I think I'm not worried about like for vanity's sake, but it just hasn't been comfortable. So I think for the next few days, and especially as I go back to work, if not only just to even remind me that I had surgery, I think it will be good to wrap them for a little bit. So, again, too, just a little protection. It does feel a bit exposed. So that's that. Almost 3 weeks post-op. Maybe in a few days, we'll check back in. I'll tell you how work's been going. Tomorrow is a work day for teachers, and then students come on Tuesday. So I think it'll be fine. I think as far as like the bare bones, like again, I mentioned this, like I think I could have gone back after a week, which I could have. But I think the thing that's weird now is, for whatever reason in my head, I'm like, I'm fine. Gotta be normal. And then like there's just a couple things I can't do, but like when your body's healing, things are just off, and it needs rest and it needs time. And so I need to stop trying to do normal life with maybe a bandage, and actually decrease like the expectations of my hands. So it'll be interesting to see if I can do that as the first week goes on. But I'm about to go wash my face, which is nice to not have dressing on. Then I'll wash my hands really well with soap and water and do the dressing on it with the I would read this to you, but this is in Korean. Anyways, some sort of patch like that can moisten and protect the scar, and then the soft dressing. I'm kind of getting to that point too, though, where I had stopped doing the dressings, and like when I bought this bag of elastic bandages, it like came with 12 rolls, which I'm like, you know, it wasn't super expensive, but I don't need 12, and I just have 2 left. So I cut them in half, use 1 for each hand, so each one will give me 2 more dressings, and I don't want to buy 12 more like when I'm on the way out of using them, but whatever. So I'm going to wash my face, wrap my hands, and then ice and elevate tonight just to give them some rest. Maybe I'll skip the massage tonight because they're already a little tender just from using them a lot. So that ended up being a long update. I'm sorry, but hope it was helpful. Thanks for following along. I'll let you know how going back to work goes. All right, bye.